The Journey of Little Robin, a story of hope and determination. Once upon a time, in a small forest near a big blue lake, there lived a little robin named Rosie. Rosie was a tiny bird with bright red feathers on her chest and a cheerful song. She lived in a cozy nest with her family, her mother, her father, and her younger brother, Tommy. Rosie loved her home in the forest. The tall trees, the fresh smell of pine, and the soft green grass made it the perfect place for her. But there was one thing Rosie was afraid of: flying long distances. Rosie had watched other birds in her flock fly high and far over the trees and lakes, but every time she tried, she would feel scared and would quickly return to her nest. Her mother would say, "Rosie, you have to try, my dear. One day you'll fly, just like the others." But Rosie would shake her head and say, "No, Mama, I'm too small, and I'm too afraid." One autumn morning, something amazing happened in the forest. The leader of their bird flock, a wise old owl named Oliver, called a meeting. Oliver was the oldest bird in the forest, with feathers as gray as smoke and eyes that looked like they had seen 1,000 sunrises. He perched on the tallest tree and began to speak. "Dear friends," he said in his deep, gentle voice. "The seasons are changing, and soon, winter will be here. We must fly south to find food and warmth. It will be a long journey, but I believe each one of you has the strength and courage to make it. Tomorrow morning, we will start our great journey together." Rosie's heart skipped a beat. A long journey? "I can't do that," she thought, her feathers trembling with worry. She looked at her mother, who gave her a gentle smile and said, "Rosie, you can do this. You're strong, even if you don't feel it yet." But Rosie wasn't so sure. That night, as everyone prepared for the journey, Rosie stayed awake in her nest, thinking, "What if I fall? What if I get tired? I don't know if I can do this," she whispered to herself. Suddenly, she heard a soft voice beside her. It was Oliver, the wise owl. He had seen her worried face during the meeting and came to check on her. "Why do you worry, little one?" he asked kindly. Rosie sighed and said, "Oliver, I'm afraid of flying far. I don't think I'm strong enough." Oliver nodded slowly, then asked, "Rosie, do you know why birds like you are born with wings? To fly?" Rosie guessed. "Yes, to fly," Oliver said with a smile. "But not just to fly. Birds are born with wings because they are meant to go places, to explore new worlds, and to grow stronger with every journey. The only way to know your strength, Rosie, is to try." Rosie thought about Oliver's words. "Maybe he's right," she thought. "Maybe I won't know unless I try." She took a deep breath and decided that, tomorrow, she would give it her best. The next morning, the flock gathered under the pale morning sky. Rosie took her place beside her mother and her brother Tommy. She was still nervous, but she felt a little spark of courage deep inside her heart. As the sun rose, Oliver gave the signal, and the flock took off into the sky. Rosie flapped her wings as hard as she could and followed her family. At first, it felt exciting. The wind rushed through her feathers, and she could see the forest far below. She had never flown so high before. But after a while, Rosie started to feel tired. Her wings ached, and she started to fall behind. She could see her friends and family flying far ahead, and she felt all alone. Just as she was about to give up, Rosie remembered Oliver's words, "The only way to know your strength is to try." She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and pushed herself to keep going, even though it was hard. She told herself, "I can do this. I am strong. I will keep going." Hour after hour, Rosie kept flying, even when her wings felt heavy and her heart felt weak. She flew over lakes, mountains, and fields. And then, just when she thought she couldn't go any further, she saw something amazing. Ahead, under the golden sunset, there was a new forest with tall green trees, colorful flowers, and the sweet smell of fruit in the air. Rosie felt a burst of energy. "I did it! I made it," she cried happily. She flew faster, her heart filled with joy. She landed beside her mother and her brother, who cheered and hugged her. That night, as the flock rested in their new home, Rosie thought about her journey. She had been afraid, but she had pushed through. She had doubted herself, but she had tried. And in trying, she had discovered that she was stronger and braver than she ever imagined. Oliver visited her again that evening and asked, "How do you feel, Rosie?" Rosie smiled, her heart full of pride and joy. "I feel brave, Oliver. I feel strong." Oliver nodded with a gentle smile. "You see, Rosie, courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to keep going, even when you're afraid. You've learned something that will stay with you forever." Rosie's eyes sparkled as she looked up at Oliver. "Thank you, Oliver. I think I am ready for any journey now." From that day on, Rosie became a symbol of courage and determination in the forest. All the other young birds looked up to her, and when they felt scared or weak, they thought of Rosie's journey and found their own courage to fly. And so, Rosie the robin lived happily, filled with a new confidence and strength. She learned that even the smallest creatures could have the biggest hearts and that real courage comes from believing in yourself, no matter what. Rosie knew that life would bring more challenges, but she was no longer afraid. She knew that as long as she had the courage to try, she could go anywhere and do anything.